What's up, guys? Today is Sunday, June 9th. We're going over the markets going into this week. Um, so a few things I want to note is this week is going to be major in terms of news. Um, when we are looking at this, let me do this real quick. Okay, so you can see here the economic calendar. So we have 10-year bond auction on Tuesday, nothing on Monday. So we might be a little choppy into Monday, especially based on how Thursday and Friday were. And then after that, we have Tuesday, the 10-year bond auction, which this typically can move the markets unexpectedly if you don't remember that it's going on. So keep an eye on that. And then also we got core CPI, CPI, all these different CPIs coming out. The full report coming out on Wednesday before the market opens. And on top of that, we have um, the Fed funds rate. So we need to be paying attention to that. Um, the FOMC statement, Jerome Powell speaking, all of that coming up on Wednesday. So Wednesday, you may want to wait until after 2 p.m. to start looking for potential setups. That's what I'm going to be doing. And will not be trading before then and then taking it light Monday and Tuesday. I think it will start to be more risk on once we get through Thursday morning. So a few other things to note is Thursday, we've got core PPI and jobless or unemployment claims. Those are some market movers as well on Thursday. So big news on Wednesday, major news day. Thursday, we've got news in the morning. We've got FOMC members in the afternoon. And then Friday, uh, consumer sentiment. That can be a market mover as well. Just a little trick for you guys when you're looking at this. These red, if you pull up on the chart or whatever this is called, the Forex Factory breakdown of the economic calendar, these ones that show up in red are high impact. These ones that show up in yellow are low impact. And then the orange is medium impact. So these red ones, look at how many we have this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different major news events this week. So keep an eye on that. If you can't tell, I'm pretty tired. Um, uh, not a lot of sleep with the newborn last night. So bear with me here. Okay. So now looking at the charts. So first things first, I've got the S&P, the NASDAQ, we'll cover those. And then from there, I have some other charts that I want to show you guys, kind of my top watches. So let's get into it. So first, uh, S&Ps. Let's start on the weekly time frame. We've got a weekly squeeze. We're looking like we are bouncing off this 21 or this 9 EMA on the weekly chart. Okay. So one thing to note is we still have not had a candle breakout outside of the low and high of this range. Okay. So let's go ahead and mark those as major levels. Okay. So we haven't been able to break out of the high and low. We've wicked, but we have not been able to break out. So that's 3 weeks of price action mainly within here. So we could see a major move coming here in the coming weeks, and that's when you want to start to get aggressive. Okay. So these are go ahead and mark that. We want to know these are high or very important levels. Okay, now that's going to bother me. We're going to go ahead and do that. Okay. We go to the daily time frame. Well, I don't want to miss this point. Weekly squeeze starting to form. Okay. Very key point that's going to trigger the next multi-month move, whether that be to the upside or downside. Right now, it is looking like to the upside based on structure and all those things. And you can also see here that we have a weekly or a monthly squeeze that we're about 4 bars in. So we've got probably 2 more months of upside action. In theory, based on how the squeeze typically runs. So we want to look, basically have an idea of whether we're going to continue upside. I'm thinking that that's the more likely scenario, right? Something else to note, you can see here, I added this net score of the bull and bear score here. And when we're looking at this, we can see that the daily, the higher time frames, daily, monthly, weekly, all are bullish. And then right now, the lower time frames are mostly neutral. We do not have a strong bias one way or the other. We're slightly bearish. Okay. So now let's drop down to some lower time frames. Okay. So the next thing I want to note is we have this high here and that low right there. And we've tried to break out of it. We've failed multiple times, to the upside and to the downside. We failed pretty dramatically on this was Friday. So what's the next thing? The next thing is we have a lower time frame range on the index here. So if you're looking at these levels, you can see here we've got a range, kind of the top of the range. Now, a safer level is up here, this white line right around 5,380. That is probably a little more of a safer level to use. And then right here, this 5,372.5, that is also, this is probably the more of a resistance tighter level range or level for this range, right? So you can see it's rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, rejected here, rejected here. But then we've got the two rejections that came on Friday up here. So really you could see that I was noticing we kept rejecting pretty much right off of 5,380. So we just got to keep an eye on that, right? And then the low of the range, I think is pretty solid right here around 53.45. So this is the range that we are watching, that we are going to be trading in, and then this is going to trigger the next short-term move. And then I think, so based on how this is kind of looking, my guess would be I think we have some more time to chop around. I really think that what we're going to see is some more chop in this range. And I think this is a smaller distribution, which is probably going to take us back down into the middle of this range and continue to trade in this range. Unless, and obviously that is highly affected by how the news comes out this week. Okay. So we really have two ranges in play. We've got the weekly time frame range, which is a little funky, but we want to see a weekly close or a strong break to trade that. And so what that kind of looks like is if we break out of this lower level here, we're probably going to go see this back to the 21 EMA around 51.50. And then if we break this candle high, we could see, I'm initially thinking we'll probably go to 54,400. That's the first and most obvious target. So that's what we're kind of looking for here. And then you can even see here inside range candle here. So we kind of want to pay attention to that as well. So we may want to mark out those levels. We can keep that level, but you can see here we have this nice push up and then kind of this crazy candle on Friday. And now we are basically have two inside candles. So this is probably the easiest way to identify some chop, right? So with that being said, let's keep an eye on that. And then from there, just to recap kind of this whole thing, right? We've got this higher time frame range, weekly time frame range, right? And then we've been in it for about 3 weeks now. And then we have this smaller time frame range, which is kind of producing just straight chop, and or we're about like a 40 point 30 point range, right? Okay, so now what we want to look for is which way are we going to break? That's going to be the next move. And then I think, oh, sorry. Initially, we're going to look for a move down into here if we break that 53.45. So that kind of makes sense to me. We would probably have a pretty clean move. Once we break this range, we look for this low, and then from there, we look for a move down into 53.14 or 15. Okay. NASDAQ. NASDAQ is printing a range as well. Can mark out these levels here. Well, let's start with from the top down, right? You can see here, we don't really have an inside candle range. Now, here we go. Weekly time frame on the NASDAQ has a buy signal. So that is very significant. Very significant. Okay. So we have a weekly buy signal. We've got nice volume. That is very bullish for the weekly time frame. We don't have any inside candles on this one, so it's a little bit different, but we just have to know that signal is on the weekly time frame. Now we drop down. Here we go. We have a daily squeeze starting to form. Okay, now we're consolidating after this strong move up. So if we drop down to this lower time frame, essentially what would this probably be? A bull flag, right? Here we go. Got support here. And we've kind of bounced. These were once resistance, this area of 19K. And now has turned to support. So let's throw that on the chart. Okay. And so now what we want to watch for is, if as long as we hold above that, that's a pretty bullish sign. Now, I would honestly say probably that I'm going to keep this level there, but we've also kind of got a level here. I'm going to leave it at the 19K because that's a psychological level. So let's mark this up white, just basing off of significance, right? So that's kind of the range we tried to break out. It was a fake out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we broke below and moved lower. But we do have that weekly signal, so we have to be cautious. If we do break and start to break this range to the downside, I think it's pretty probable we go retest this support level here, right around probably 18,755, which we could really go with here. Man. So that's a little bit of a support level there, or well, was resistance, may now be support. And so we do definitely have a decent room for downside if we do decide to break lower. Okay. So that's the range for the S&P 5, or sorry, the NASDAQ. That. Okay, so there's kind of your range, right? How far away is that? 41. Okay. then obviously we want to mark this as well. That's kind of the more key range high. So actually, now that I'm drawing this up, I like that better. So 19,150 and 1900 are the two key levels for the NASDAQ going into this week. This is very clean. This is a very clean way to decide whether you're going to play bullish or bearish. So what do? You can either try to anticipate the break, or you can wait for the break and then wait for the next squeeze and play it to the upside or downside. So there's the NASDAQ. Some stocks that I want to keep on watch are first Meta. We've got a lot of strength in Meta. It's been trading very strong. We've got a range breakout. So we've got a daily buy signals. So what I would be looking for is the next lower time frame squeeze to take us higher. And so maybe you go to the 15 minutes. So here's an example. We broke the range, traded sideways, created a squeeze, and boom, there's your move up in a trending environment once we broke out of a range. Okay, so that's what I would be looking for here. We do have a 30-minute squeeze, so I'd be looking for that to be an opportunity to take it long. Okay, and from there, you kind of want to just see it continue. We've got key resistance here. $500. So see how it reacted to that in the lower time frames. Yeah, we're kind of starting to reject it. But if we start to get buy signals, look to catch that initial push through 500. And that should be pretty solid. There. Crowd. Okay, so this one, they had earnings. They beat. Obviously, a bullish reaction. We had a gap up. Sellers tried to push down, people taking profits, and when we pushed down, we got bought right back up. So that's a very, very bullish sign. Okay. I think this one is going to definitely have a continuation higher. We're bullish across all time frames. We've got a 30-minute buy signal. So you want to keep an eye on this one because there is strength. But also you want to watch out because we do have some resistance up here around 355. We break that, we're kind of off to the races. And I think we could see a nice continuation on this one. So keep an eye on that. I think we could see a nice move in this one. And on top of that, we've got a weekly squeeze with a buy signal. So I'm thinking this one may have a nice run up into $400. So keep an eye on that. I really like that for the next move. AMD, let's clear this off. So this has got a range, but we've got buy signals. I think we could see a move on it pretty soon. There's your range. You can see we got a weekly squeeze. Momentum is still shifting to the downside, but see all these wicks. Okay, so let's go here with it. So you can see here, inside candles on the weekly. Set your alerts for a breakout. And then, like I said, just look for a lower time frame squeeze once it breaks out, and then look for the trend continuation. Don't get caught in all this choppiness, right? But there's your levels. We've got a weekly squeeze. We're holding the 21. I'm bullish on this for sure. We just want to look for that breakout here. Okay. And then eventually you just want to, I think we could see a pretty nice run up to 185 and then 200. Amazon, this one just has a good looking chart, right? So we're in a range, longer time frame range. What we want to look for is We want to see a breakout of either side. There's your range. You can see on the monthly time frame that that's what's going on. So the weekly, we're chopping sideways. You want to wait and look for the next breakout, but we've got squeezes all over the place. So we've got a daily, we've got a weekly, we've got a 3 day, we've got a 2 day. Yeah, we've got all these things working for us. Okay, so keep an eye out for that. And then we'll kind of go from there. So that's a great looking setup. If I had to rank these, I think initially for short term, these are my two favorites. And then some couple setups to wait on would be AMD, Amazon, and Microsoft. So let's take a look at Microsoft. So the weekly time frame looks like a choppy mess, right? Well, we're just building up the next weekly squeeze. Okay. So we're building up energy for the next move. So there's your range high, there's your range low. Let's take a look at the monthly. This is where I would mark it. Had two inside candles, so inside here. So what we're looking for is a breakout of either side. So keep an eye out for this. Mark your levels. And if we can get above this 430, look for the move up. If we break down below here, which I'd be a little surprised, then that 390-ish, you can look for the downside. But right now, I'm bullish on all of these plays. So keep an eye out. I did not look if, yep, Meta's got a weekly squeeze too. So, and you can also see here, we're trading in another inside candle, guys. You can see these happen all the time. So inside candle. So when we break out of that, we should see a pretty nice move. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. If you have questions, as always, message me in the trade floor. Hope this helps, gives you some good things to watch out for, and I'll see you guys in the next update.